Welcome to MegaNet Gaming, and the review today is going to be on another PlayStation 1 game out of the two I'm reviewing today, and that is going to be Gex. Gex is a Crystal Dynamics game that was also published by them for the PlayStation 1 and Saturn. The game's also published by Microsoft for the PC, and BMG Interactive published it for the 3DO. This game originated on the 3DO in April of 1995 and was published December 18th of the same year for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn. The Microsoft Windows version came out November 7th of 1996, and really all four of these versions are similar enough where the review as far as the gameplay, story, etc. goes applies pretty much equally to all of them. Obviously most people aren't going to have a 3DO, and the Sega Saturn and PlayStation versions are nearly identical. It's just a matter of which system you have access to, and there is controller support for the PC version. It's just a matter of what you have available, and for most people the PlayStation 1 version's probably going to be the most accessible version, and that's the one that I have available to review. This was during a time where everybody was obsessed over 3D polygonal graphics. Games like Crash Bandicoot were being released. There was even 2.5D style games like Clockwork Knight. And so a 2D side-scrolling game at the time was deemed a bit outdated. However, this one, for being a 2D side-scrolling game, had quite impressive graphics for the time period. I'll go ahead and pull up some gameplay footage of the first level. Alright, here's some gameplay footage. You have a lot of unique things you can do in this compared to most platforming games. It's not as simple as just running and jumping on heads. Given you're a gecko, you have the suction cup style feet where you can climb up walls, and that includes the back wall in certain spots. You attack with your tail. You also have your tongue that you can use to catch stuff, and for the most part, the levels are pretty much standard side-scrolling fare. We're going to be running around, trying to collect a certain item, killing the bad guys. There's little mosquito-looking bugs that you capture where you get extra lives if you capture enough of them, extra points. There's other special abilities you can get by getting certain special items. These levels have a lot of secrets. They do make quite a bit of use of verticality. There's stuff high up and below the ground level you start at, which makes the game quite interesting. You also have spikes and other obstacles to get in the way that add quite a bit of challenge to the levels. The screens in between levels in the overworld map do look quite a bit dated, especially if you're playing this on LCD TV. But at the time looked quite impressive, and they still have some charm. And the game is easy enough for about anybody could pick up and play, but it does add a fair degree of challenge, especially with hunting down items. So the plot of the game is you're a young anthropomorphic gecko and lives by himself watching TV and eating snacks in his mansion in Maui, Hawaii, which he acquired after inheriting a large sum of money from his uncle that passed away. One day, while looking for a good show to watch, he consumes a passing housefly. This insect turns out to be a small undercover drone being controlled by Rez, the overlord of the media dimension. Rez uses the droid to bug Gex and pulls him into the media dimension through the TV set, intending to use him as the network's new mascot character. In order to escape, Gex needs to traverse the media dimension and find the remote controls which you can use to destroy TV sets, blocking his exit back to the outside world. And once the game is over, spoiler alert, he resumes watching his TV, wondering what was on HBO. So there's a little bit of social commentary there, or seemingly some social commentary buried under a rather simplistic good guy, bad guy plot.
Like the Slime Boys, nice touch.
The graphics hold up. There are better looking platformers. Even at this time there are platformers that had better looking graphics, but they're acceptable and they hold up quite well. The voice acting, in some people's opinion at the time, was clever, hilarious, but in my opinion it just seemed out of place. But it was at least unique. The Gecko had cracked jokes about TV shows, which was fitting given the backstory. And some of those still hold up to today, given the shows are still quite well known, while others are a relic of 90s humor. This was one of the best-selling 3DO games, and the series as a whole has sold about 15 million units. Just to give you an idea of what this game reviewed at the time, Game Informer gave it 9.25 out of 10. IGN gave it 6 out of 10. 3 out of 5 stars from Next Generation Magazine. 2 out of 5 stars from Maximum. Sega Saturn Magazine gave it 62%, and PC Power Play gave it 80%. So even at the time, it was in the good to very good category, if the scales were actually scaled that way. But really, those scores mean it's rather on the mediocre side of things. And I would say that despite this game having quite a bit of charm, and it is a game that there's enough copies floating out there where you get this game for dirt cheap. It is on the good side of, it's on the good side of average, but not much more. It's a fun action platformer that is good for many people who love it for the sake of nostalgia. But for the most part, it's good. There's many other action platformers that are better, and way more that are much worse. And for a price it's going to be probably, you should be able to pick this up for a few bucks at a game shop. Definitely less than 10 for the PlayStation 1. And at that price you're going to get your money's worth. And given the number of secrets that are cleverly hidden, sometimes in quite cryptic ways, it can be quite time consuming, even though the total number of levels at 24 isn't really that many. The level style variety is rather average for a platformer, but the worlds are unique for the most part. Just not a whole lot of worlds to explore. So that's what you have here. You have Gex, a somewhat edgy mascot, some graphics that have a certain style to them that's somewhat unique and have aged well compared to a lot of other games at the time. An overall game that's just good.
Kill your TV, man.
On the list, I'm going to put it right below Twisted Metal 2 for the PC, and right above Red Alert for the Virtual Boy. Pick it up if you find it for a few bucks. Otherwise, it's one that if you don't already have it in your collection, there's no need to spend a lot of time trying to track it down. Hope you enjoyed the review. Please like, subscribe, and have a great day.